So, Ash, you and I have had many girls' nights in
Any
our 20 years. And we generally, I mean, as we've gotten older, our girls' nights look like pajamas and like wine until our husbands are like, you're done. We're going home.
get in the car.
Yeah, exactly. But every now and then, like we will get together and maybe with another girl or
Yep.
or whatever, and we have a good time and sometimes sleepovers are in order.
Yep.
Uh, Especially if our men are like, "You know what? Why don't you just stay there? I don't want to deal
Please,
with your
please
shenanigans,
don't
but
bring that here.
please don't bring your wild behavior home. I'm okay." So that's kind of what we're talking about today. We're talking about
Okay.
girls' sleepover, but I say girls, they were celebrating a 45-year-old woman's birthday, which
Okay, so
I'm down.
down.
So, I want to start the story by telling you about a woman named Tamla Horsford. She's a mom of five and she has a stepdaughter who is older. Her sons were age 4 to 14 years old. So, like, this
Oh.
is a busy woman. I
Whew.
can't imagine.
No, thank you.
I can't imagine. Like, when I'm like, yeah, like we have three kids at home, and people are like, I have six children. I'm just like, do you need a nap? Like,
What
what
do
can I
you
do for you?
need?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have two children, and when we are all together, like,
Yeah.
mind you, my oldest is basically an adult.
She's
Um,
doing her own thing
she's
now.
doing her own thing. But when we're all together,
Mhm.
um, even though they're older, it's like a constant like, this is what I do the whole time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, trying to give everyone my full attention, trying to so
Yes.
imagine that with like 5 or 6 kids.
5 from 4 to
No.
14, like wild. So, but you know what?
Blah.
Tamla was awesome at it. By
Oh,
all accounts, like
good.
she was a devoted wife, she was a devoted mom, she was a good friend. She was just incredible. So, she's married to, by all accounts, the love of her life.
Mm.
Yeah, his name is Leander, and she was originally from the Bahamas. They
Oh,
had lived, I know.
you're giving me Rihanna
Guys,
vibes.
for those of you who are not in, you know, the
Bill,
mid-east of Canada, we are patiently waiting spring. It is not, I'm like, it's just not coming.
we're
Maybe we just need to get used to this.
our skin is dry. We're pale as fuck. The wind hurts our
We're pale
face.
as fuck.
Oh
I
my
know.
god.
I know. Well, that was not Tamla's life. She
True.
was Bahamas, and then they had lived in Florida, but they moved to Cumming, Georgia, so that their boys had every opportunity to excel in football. So it sounds like this was a football town. Like if
Okay.
you wanted your kids to succeed, you were going to Cumming, Georgia.
It's kind of like us here in hockey.
A little bit. Yeah,
Mhm.
a little bit. So now I kind of want to pause on Tamla for a second because I want to give you a bit of a history lesson about the city where this story takes place.
Okay.
The city website boasts that it has small town heart, big city spirit. Now, before anybody gets their panties in a knot about what I'm about to tell you, these are facts. This is historically accurate. This is just what happened. I'm just telling you about it.
Oh, you're gonna piss people off because you put a
Well,
PSA out.
this is just it. Like, and I know some of these things are hard for us to hear. I get it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it happened. So it's 1912, and a small population of Black residents, dozens of whom were land and business owners, were violently expelled from the county, their livelihood stripped from them. So white people literally just showed up at these Black residences and were like, get the fuck out. You're leaving, like literally right now.
Oh.
You're leaving. And they would bring them to the edge of the county and just leave them.
So this like they were like being shunned
It's
basically.
awful. It's awful. Like, I went really deep into this, and I could probably do an entire episode just on what happened in this town.
Okay.
So, 3 Black men were lynched, and the remaining Black residents were ordered to leave the town and never return. This all started so there were like 2 murders of white women.
Okay.
Or there was 1 murder and 1 assault, and a young black man admitted to doing it. And so
Okay.
after that, the town just, like, honestly lost their marbles, like, they went nuts. Even according to the 1990 census, of the 44,000 residents in Cumming, there were 14 black people.
You know,
14.
I mean, hindsight 2020, obviously, in this situation, because it was 1912 back in the day, but the majority of serial killers are white males.
I know, I know,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying.
We're just we're just throwing out the facts today.
Okay.
So yeah, and I will say that in the more recent years, this town has been working hard to overcome their shameful
So
past.
they're being progressive, let's
They
say.
are. And here's the thing, we can't erase our past, and we shouldn't dwell on it. We need to find ways to overcome it and make sure it never
Mhm.
happens again. That's all we can do.
Absolutely.
We can't focus on it, you know? So now that you know the history, I need you to keep that little history lesson in mind
Okay.
as we head back to November 2018 in Tamla.
Okay.
Tamla had been invited to a birthday party for John Myers. Now, her name is spelled Jean, but in all of the interviews, she goes by John. So we're going to call her John, and we're just going to do that.
Really?
I know in French Canada,
Dean,
I was like, but to be fair, in French, it's Jean,
oh, fair. Yeah.
right? Or
Weird.
Jeanne.
Jen.
Anyway,
Okay.
we're calling her John. So John was turning 45. It was being hosted, well, it was being thrown by Stacy, but it was actually at John's house. It was a casual get together of mostly football moms and neighborhood friends.
Okay.
The wine was flowing. They were watching a football game. They were,
Charcuterie
ah,
boards.
right. Like the snacks were out. And it
Yeah.
was supposed to just be a cozy girls' night in. They had all most of them had planned to stay the night. There was a couple women who were working the next day, but so Tamla shows up to the party around 8:30 after tucking all her babies in. So she was
Oh,
late. Yes, she was late to the party because she was like, "No, no, I'm putting my babies to bed."
yeah.
And she showed up with a nice bottle of tequila for the birthday girl. She just was like ready to let loose. And listen, if you have 5 kids at home, like no shit, of course you're ready to
Get
let
your
loose.
tequila, girl.
Yeah. So there were about 7 women there and uncomfortably 2 men. Now
Why?
listen, I know, I was like,
Go
"Party."
away. Go do
So,
something.
I'm not generally the person who's like, "No men allowed," because, like, I love men. I love my men. I love your men. I love men. But it sounds like this was a little bit weird. So all these women came out to John's house assuming they would be alone and, like, with their girlies, and it was so funny because Tamla Ash was wearing a onesie. Like a spotted onesie pajama, and I was just like, "This is Ashley." And then in my head, I was like, "Oh, like, she probably assumed that, it would just be girls." And then I thought about you who, like, ran around the fanciest hotel in Ottawa in a pajama onesie, and I was like, or maybe she was like Ash and just did not give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck. And
Yeah.
also, like, I want my gay besties there because
Yeah.
that is
Oh,
okay.
a
But
absolutely. But that was not the case here, and I'll tell you who these men were that were there.
mm,
So so let's there's no judgment. I just need to throw this out there. There's no judgment here, okay? I'm just telling the story. So John was turning 45.
yep,
It was her 45th birthday party. Her 27-year-old boyfriend, Jose Barrera,
get a
a
girl.
pretrial enforcement officer, and Stacy's husband Thomas were there. Which whatever. It
John
sounds like
must be a fucking like babe.
yeah, right?
Like
Like
you're
I was like,
pulling a 27-year-old. Good for
"Ma'am, like
you.
he's almost 20 years younger than you.
Now,
Like that's
personally,
amazing."
would I want to be with a 27-year-old now in my 40s? No.
I
because
don't have time for that.
I don't have time or the
No.
energy. I want an
I
old, tired
yeah,
person.
I want an old tired man. That's my vibe now.
Give me those silver
I just
foxes.
don't I can't raise you. I have
No.
my own kids to raise.
I
I
know.
can't do you. Uh, so anyway, those 2 guys are there. They initially it sounded like they were gonna chill in the basement, stay out of everybody's way. However, of course, the food came out and they were upstairs.
Of
They were like,
course.
"We're doing the
Especially a
food."
27-year-old boy.
Yeah. So, Jose plays a big role in this story. And
Okay.
you know when someone over elaborates and you immediately are thinking, A, that didn't make sense because it was all over the place. And B, what are you hiding?
Every time we cover a case,
Mhm.
and then the cops pull someone in and they're like, "So, how well, it all started 25" and you're like, "Whoa,
Ash, you're not even ready for the witness interviews in this case. It's
okay."
probably the highlight of this case. So, get this, after what happens, which I will get to, Jose had said this. I mean, I didn't want to be there with all the women. I wanted to stay away from them. Tom was supposed to be at his house, but he didn't want to be at his house because uh something was going on there. So the idea was just to hang out there. I didn't want to spend any money, and I wasn't feeling that well. So I talked to John and she said we could just hang out in the basement. And that was in response to, so you were at John's that night.
Like,
So it's like, okay, are you at John's because Tom couldn't go home? Are you at John's because you didn't want to spend money? Or are you at John's because you're not feeling well? Like,
or sir, calm the fuck down and take the Vyvanse. Do something, because I don't know what that was.
right? Like, it was just so much. Like, what?
To be
The
fair,
air
we know this about me.
listen, and, do you know that I think about this every single time I read something like this? Because I mean, Matt may say otherwise, but I'm pretty direct. Like, if someone asks me a question, like, if someone's like, "Were you at John's that night?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was there." You're like, "Well," and it's just an anxiety response.
As soon as if I have to bag groceries at the checkout and the
I'm not
person
I know.
talks to me,
Oh,
we I I don't know what happens to my brain, but I go full like the ADHD goes to 130. I start nervous talking every time I'm at a fucking I don't even like going to the grocery store because the minute I have to talk to the cashier, I
Ash,
know
the last time I went grocery shopping with you, they were ringing you through and the woman was like, "Hi, how are you?" And Ashley was like, "I'm gonna make a salad tonight, and I'm just gonna have you ever put these in your salad?" Like, I'm like, "Ashley,
why?
enough." Anyway, so all that to say, I think about you often in these moments because I'm like, maybe they're just like Ash. Like, maybe
Um,
they're just like Ash. All right, so back to our night. So it carries on. The gals are drinking. They're smoking a
yeah.
bit of weed.
Oh,
Although everyone says only Tamla was smoking, which no, she fucking wasn't. Get get out of here. They were all like, we
now
don't touch that.
is weed legal in this
No,
state? Oh, okay.
no. And it's
But like
2018. Yeah.
also smoke your weed, shut up. Like
Yeah.
nobody's judging you. I mean, when I smoke weed, I am a blob and like it's legal in Canada, so it's very common for everyone to be smoking pot here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have too much anxiety to smoke weed.
I know
No,
you should not do it.
no,
It's
no.
not for
We're
you.
not doing that.
Anyway, they're having a great time. Partygoers say that Tamla was drinking a lot, but that she didn't seem overly intoxicated. So, like, Tamla can handle her booze.
Yep.
And let's keep in mind, she doesn't get out often. She's having a night without the kids.
Let the girl do
She's
her
partying.
thing.
Yeah. So, there was actually one gal that they had to carry to bed pretty early because she was so fucked up, which, like, there's always one.
There's always one, yeah.
There's always one. But Tamla was totally with it and having a good time. At around 1:30 a.m., Everyone starts heading to where they're going to hunker down for the night.
Okay.
Some women had rooms, some were sleeping on the couches. Bridget's husband comes by to pick her up and take her home, and she says that she said bye to Tamla and that Tamla was actually just going to step outside for a smoke around that time as well.
Okay.
All right, so by all accounts, everyone goes to bed.
Okay.
It's 8:30 a.m. the next day, and Madeline, John's aunt, had started making coffee and was looking into the backyard when she says she saw pajamas in the grass. And she quickly realized it wasn't just PJs, it was Tamla. She was face down in the grass and not moving.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to need everyone to take a deep cleansing breath for the remainder of this story.
Mm.
So, everyone just
Am I
deep
going to get
breath.
mad?
Oh, I think you're going to be mad.
Okay.
Especially, and it starts right from here.
Okay.
Auntie Madeline says in her police report that at that moment, she took a knee and prayed to God.
You didn't go out and check her?
She did not.
Oh, okay. And like, no shade on like having your moment of prayer. Ma'am, hello?
You can literally be running to this woman
Dear God,
and
let this
praying.
person be okay, you fucking
Correct. No,
asshole.
no. In the kitchen, she took a knee and said a little prayer to God. And then she ran upstairs to John and Jose. She says she went upstairs and she could hear water running from their room. She knocked on their bedroom door, but she figured John was in the shower. So she went back downstairs and looked back outside, but did not go outside, and then went up to John's room again and knocked louder. Uh,
No 911.
no
No
one has
nothing.
called, no one has checked on Tamla. No one has called 911. Oh, there's my, I don't know why it does that. No one has done anything. Tamla's laying in the grass, not moving. And let me tell you something. If someone is face down, like if someone looks like they're having a medical emergency at an event that I'm at, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're in the shower. I don't care if you're having sex. I don't care if you're mid
Oh, I'm
wax.
busting in.
Everyone is coming downstairs. We need everyone downstairs right now. And
Yell
we need
for
to make
help.
sure. Yeah, what the
Don't take a
fuck?
knee.
Honestly, I was like, sorry, what the fuck did I just read?
I
Anyway,
I'm already mad, so great.
so second time she goes upstairs and knocks on the door, a groggy John answers the door. And this time she's finally answering the door and she says, "We were sleeping. What's up?" And like, were you sleeping? Because before John says that she heard the shower running. So anyway, don't know what that's about. Madeline says, "I need Jose right away. Your friend from the islands is laying face down in the backyard, not moving."
I have a problem with
We're not
what
even going yeah, we're not even gonna touch friend from the islands thing. We'll just leave that. Anyways, it's been 20 minutes now since Madeline first saw Tamla in the grass.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. No one has checked on Tamla.
Nope.
Nothing. Yeah. So Jose comes downstairs. He says he goes outside. He touches her back and didn't feel her breathing. He also said he tried to move her leg, but that rigor had set in. She was stiff. John finally calls 911.
Well, good thing.
Yeah, thanks, guys. She tells the dispatcher about the party, that there's a girl in their backyard not moving. Then she passes the phone to Jose. Jose tells the dispatcher she's for sure not breathing whatsoever. She's stiff. There's a small cut on her wrist. I wonder if it's suicide. That's what he says to the dispatcher.
Okay. First and
Mhm.
foremost,
Oh, no.
Jose.
Yeah.
Um, she's face down outside.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're concerned about how she died already? That's not the problem here.
Who goes to a girl's sleepover party?
To kill themselves.
A happy mom. Anyway, we'll just leave that there. So, people are weird when they're experiencing trauma. And 9 times out of 10, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt because
Absolutely.
this is a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is only the beginning of weird shit that Jose says. So, he says to the dispatcher, "It looks like she jumped from the balcony." And again, what?
What
And
would give you so a small cut on the wrist, it could be, it could be suicide.
he's like,
Oh, and
maybe
I
she
think she
cut
jumped?
herself. So the dispatcher again is like, okay, so she's not breathing. And now he says, so remember, just seconds ago, he's like, she's not breathing whatsoever. She's
She's
stiff.
stiff.
So now he says, I can't tell if she's breathing. So the dispatcher's like, I need you to check her. And he's like, she's stiff. So anyway, the dispatcher's like, okay, people are on their way. Um, just stay on the phone with me. And he says, actually, it's okay. We have cameras on the balcony. Whatever happened will be on that camera. We'll check them. Now, we're going to pull this apart because that's literally what we're here for. Two things. I don't know why 911 did not emphasize you have to check on this woman.
And also, my first thing is flip her over and start CPR. Hello?
She is like, I know, she is laying face down, not head to the side. She's like mouth on the earth,
No
face
one is
down.
flipping her over to check her.
No one has flipped her over, and aside from Jose putting his hand on her back, no one has checked to see if she has a pulse. Nothing.
And this is your friend.
That's
Girl,
right.
I would be jumping on your chest. I would be fucking blowing
Yeah.
in your mouth. I don't care if it looks like you've been dead for 2 days. I'm doing everything.
Absolutely. You're doing something.
This is
So
fucked.
I know. And the second thing is, it's pretty general knowledge for any dispatcher. Like, you're not touching anything until police get there.
Yes.
So, the minute that he said, don't worry, we'll check the cameras,
No, 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 no,
she
no.
should have said, do not touch anything. Do not touch the cameras. Do not open the cameras. Do not do anything. And
Right.
guess what?
Oh, they opened the cameras.
Well, Ash, the cameras weren't working that night.
Oh, interesting.
We don't know what happened, but no footage was recorded. Hmm.
Mm.
So the dispatcher is still on the phone with Jose. Okay. And she's like, when was the last time that you saw Tamla? He says, I saw her at 1 a.m. and she was either waiting for a ride to be picked up or she said she was going to wait to get picked up in the morning. And this is weird because Tamla had planned on staying the night.
And it was known. She was in a onesie. She's there.
She was in a
She's
onesie. She was staying the night. Now, shit happens. Sometimes we go somewhere and we expect that we're going to stay there and we don't want to stay there.
I never stay.
But also, I never stay.
I
I
never
need to be
do.
home in my bed.
Same.
I know. So, but like, this is so fucking weird because Tamla, let's remember, Tamla is not that fucked up.
Right.
Bridget says when she left at 1:30 a.m., Tamla was perfectly with it, was like, oh, hey, have a good night. I'm just going to step out for a smoke. Anyway, we'll get back to that later. Investigators show up at 9:07 a.m. They determine that Tamla is deceased.
Yeah.
CSI and coroner show up. All right. So they call back the people who had been at the party and had left because
Right.
they're like, everyone needs to come back here. We have a dead person.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
So They put the people who were at the house when they arrived in one room of the house, and the people who showed back up, who had left some point in the night, in another room, which at initial glance is like, good. That they're not talking.
That's right.
But no, Ashley, not good. Because even though they initially separated them, they were allowed to just mingle amongst themselves while officers did their thing in the living room.
Pardon?
I know.
So what? Like here, guys, just hang out here, talk amongst yourselves.
Like, it sounds like they initially were like, "Okay," so everyone who came back to the house, because the cops went and found the people who had left, they put them in one room. So we've got John, we've got Jose, we've got Madeline.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting them in another room.
Okay.
But, like, they just left the doors open.
They're back and forth.
Yeah, just chatting. Alright, so this is a little bit of a breakdown of when people left, what people saw, etcetera. So
Okay.
Sarah and Nicole were the first to leave that night before. At around 1:30 AM, Bridget's husband picked her up.
Okay.
At 4 AM, Marcy left to go to work. 7:45, Paula left. 8:30 AM, so literally as Auntie Madeline is making coffee, Tom and Stacy left.
Okay. Now, when they left, would they have passed?
This is
Like,
a really good question, and it seems like probably. And okay, so 7:45, Paula left. If Tamla was stiff,
she was already there.
at 9, she was already
Yeah.
there. And certainly at 8:30 when Tom and Stacy left, Tamla was there.
Mm.
Anyway, okay, we're gonna go back to all over the place Jose. So he says initially the last time he saw Tamla was at 1 AM, and she was contemplating whether she was gonna stay or leave. He then later said, "Oh, I saw her at 1:30, and she said she was going for a smoke and then going to bed." So what is it, Jose?
Right.
Was she contemplating leaving at 1? Or was she having a good time, having a last smoke before bed? What is it?
That's a really weird, those are so opposite of, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, exactly. Now, everyone else at the party recalls her expressing that she wanted to go home.
Okay.
So the story from everybody else is no, as the night wound down, she was like, "I wanna go home.
Yeah.
I'd rather just sleep in my bed," which, yeah.
Same.
Now, everyone also said that they were saying to her, "No, no, you have to stay, like, you drank too much, you can't drive," which, great, that's a good friend, you
That's a
wanna
good
do
friend.
that.
Yeah.
So they took her keys, but Ashley, they also took her phone.
Pardon? Why?
Exactly, and I cannot like, in my head, I was like, I would never, under any circumstances, this is
No.
a grown ass woman, okay? We're not teenagers. This is a grown ass woman. And again, Tamla was not that fucked up. She's not like falling over herself. She's
Even
perfectly with it.
even if she's falling all over herself, why would you take her phone?
Why would you take her phone?
What if her kids need her? What if her husband tries to get a hold of her? What
It's
if she
not
needs to
even
call her
that.
husband?
This is 2018. If she wants to go home, she's perfectly with it. She can call an Uber, but you
Even if
took her
she's
fucking phone.
drunk off her bean and she wants to call an Uber, girl, call an Uber.
Go home. Took her phone and her keys?
That's fucking weird. It's fucking weird.
Very weird.
I'm suspicious.
Well, so just like a quick PSA, because like I feel like we need to do this. Guys, if someone comes to your party, even if they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have the best night. If they're there for an hour and they're like, I want to go home, fucking make sure they get home.
Yeah.
Like, help them. Like, get
Right?
them home. My God. So I don't understand this at all. It is so weird to me because multiple people said, yeah, we took her keys and her phone. What? Why? Don't take people's phones. Anywho. So back to the scene. Jose tells officers, I was asleep and Madeline woke us up, and I went down and outside and saw Tamla on the grass. But later in interrogations, he tells that same officer, yeah, I was up and cleaning that morning.
You thought you guys are in bed,
He
asleep.
says he found a lighter and unlit cigarette on the balcony. Now, get this, other people started spinning this whole we were all up cleaning thing too.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. Auntie Madeline like says she was completely alone. She was up, she was making coffee.
Yeah. And
So
when John opened the door, we were asleep.
yeah, so there's so many different stories being told here, and police are kind of like, "What? Can so what happened?" Because you can't have 2 stories. Because there's 2 stories now. Everyone was up and cleaning or no one was up and cleaning and Madeline was making coffee.
This is no. Right away. No.
Yeah. So and I'm just telling the facts of this story, okay? I don't know these people from a hole in the ground. I'm just going based off of the reports I'm reading.
Mhm.
This probably irritates me a little bit because I am unfortunately a smoker and I know it's bad for me. I know I shouldn't do it.
It's
But for
okay.
whatever reason, over and over and over and over again, for no reason at all, every single person from this party mentioned dozens of times, well, Tamla was the only smoker.
Okay.
In a very like, oh my God, like she was
Oh,
smoking.
oh my God.
Settle down. It's not meth. God.
Like, fuck
So
off. Okay, can I
I
just
know.
okay, I have to say something. I just
I
do
hope you
because
do.
it's drawing me.
Yeah.
Um, we're from a small community back home.
Yeah.
It's a Catholic community. It's, again, maybe 15 Black people in 2018. We've really, you know, evolved since then, but that's
But
beside.
not because we ran them out of town,
No.
just because nobody wants to live there.
Nobody wants to live there because it's a shithole. But anyways,
We
what
love it.
I
We
what
love
I
it.
do want to say though are small towns
Mhm.
can produce the most judgmental, clicky, insane. Like, if I worried about what every asshole back home thought of me,
Yeah.
I'd never
Oh,
fucking leave my house.
honey, honey, we are the pariahs. We are the pariahs. It's us. We're the problem. So, and I don't know. And again, I don't know these women from a hole in the ground. It's just don't be a mean girl. Who cares if she smokes? Nobody.
Right?
Literally no one gives a fuck. Um so that was just a part of it that I was like, "All right, calm down." So she was the only smoker there, good for you. Now, at this point of the whole day, John and Jose have landed on their story. They're saying, "We both saw her at 1 a.m. and she was going out for a smoke and then going to bed." That
Oh,
was their
okay.
final.
They're
They were
like,
like,
this sounds good.
this is what happened." All right, so let's talk a little bit about Tamla's autopsy. So they do an autopsy. They do an autopsy, and the first weird thing about this autopsy is not one photo was taken, which
Isn't it standard to
so okay, so like I didn't know this, but Morbid podcast is like my favorite
I
thing ever.
know.
They covered this in 2020. Elena is
She's a
like a
mortician, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
She said, well, she's an autopsy tech. She said in this episode, not a chance in hell. Literally every single part of your body is photographed during an autopsy.
Especially under circumstances of a possibility of a murder. Hello?
Yes. Every single blade of grass would have been photographed that was on her body, every single part of it, because otherwise it's just hearsay.
Yes.
The tech could say anything they wanted to without that photo proof. Okay. Anyway, so her blood alcohol was 0.24, which is high. You're not, you cannot, it's
It's
like
girls'
double
night.
the limit. Yeah. But she wasn't driving.
Nope.
They found traces of weed and Xanax.
Oh,
Now, Tamla did not have a script for Xanax, and it wasn't
okay.
found anywhere in her belongings.
And what about, like, you know, back home? Did they confirm that so she wasn't a Xanax taker? Like, that's
Nope,
not a thing?
not at all. She did not have any on her person that night. She didn't have any at home. Her husband said she did not take Xanax. So this sends off alarm bells to me
Yeah.
because I'm like, who put Xanax in her drink?
Right. And because, like,
What happened?
Xanax is a downer, so, okay,
Yeah.
you take Xanax to go on a flight that you're scared of. You take
Yeah.
Xanax to go for a medical procedure, or if
Mhm.
you're, you know, suffering from, like, severe panic disorders or anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah,
You're not
exactly.
popping a fucking Xanny,
At a
smoking weed
party.
at, like, hello?
I know. So that was weird. Um, Tamla's right wrist was severely broken. She had bruises on her knees and chin, and she had abrasions on the top of her head and chin and a fracture of her C2 second vertebrae. She also had a laceration to the left ventricle of her heart, all indicative of mass trauma. But get this, and this is where I get a little bit like, I literally get chills when I think about this because I'm like,
I
"Tamla, honey, what
already
happened?"
I already have theories on this, but go ahead.
Ash, not a bone was broken in her face.
But she landed on her face.
Correct.
And
She
how
landed face first, like I said before,
Yeah,
not off to the side,
face down.
literally face down.
Okay, let's go through these injuries real quick
Mhm,
before we
mhm,
continue. Okay. Um, okay, I could see the breaking of a wrist.
sure. If
Um,
she was trying to, you know,
or
protect
even if
herself from the
she
fall,
Yeah, or if she just fell the wrong way, like you're
yeah,
falling.
yeah,
But on top of her head, no. No sense.
no,
Um, yeah, how high was this balcony?
14 feet. So high. The bruises on her knees and chin is the thing for me because I'm like, okay, so let's say she didn't land on her face. If you're falling from 14 feet and oh, if you're falling from 14 feet and you're hitting your chin, it's breaking.
Yeah. But the top of the head is what's getting me. And then also, okay, so let's just reenact this. Okay, so even say she fell, there's no way because if she would have hit the top of her head, her neck would have snapped and her head wouldn't have been face down. So,
And she did have a fracture of her second vertebrae, which is like, okay, maybe
yeah,
like that compression. But again, you're not like, she
no,
didn't fall and then fall, 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 fall. Like she had multiple abrasions all over her body.
no.
Cause
And
of death,
sorry,
mhm.
abrasions on the top of her head. I'd be curious what those were like. Were they scratches as if someone grabbed her? Because,
You know what? That would be wonderful to know, but no photos were taken, Ash.
right.
So we're never really gonna know.
And like, are these people, and again, like, obviously, we're just speculating and we can't say
Yeah.
anything because no one knows. But now, are these people like, would you say, like high members of their community? Are they
Oh,
connected members?
definitely.
Okay, so they're
Definitely,
wealthy.
definitely.
They
Yeah,
know
yeah,
people.
they knew each other through, like, football. Their
Football.
sons were playing football. It was a whole vibe, it was a whole community, it was a whole clique.
Okay,
So
because sometimes who you know matters.
I know, I know. Well, and keep in mind, Jose is an officer. He's not a police
That's right.
officer, but he is a law enforcement officer.
So he has connections within that community,
There's
obviously.
actually, a report. I didn't include it in the story, but when police first got there, they were like, "Jose, man, what's happening?" Like, they knew him.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Interesting.
so Tamla's cause of death ended up being multiple blunt force injuries.
Multiple.
No injuries to her face. So I can't let this go. She was found face down in the earth. Her mouth was touching the ground.
No injuries at all to her face?
Not on her face. Her face was fine.
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Official witness statements were taken 1 to 2 weeks later, which whatever.
1 to 2 weeks?
I know, I was a little bit like, what were we busy with that we couldn't do that at the time, but
And
whatever.
can we talk about this beautiful woman's family that has to sit there knowing something awful has happened to the mother, the wife,
Yep.
and we're concerned about the fact that she's a smoker. Good job.
Yeah, right? Cool. I'm glad it came up dozens of
Good
times.
thing.
Like, in the interviews, I got to a point where I was like, "Okay, now I'm getting upset."
Right.
Like, now I feel personally attacked. Like, "Okay, she smoked, we
Like,
know.
same, same.
Calm down." So, witness statements are taken. There was tons of conflicting things. Like, honestly, guys, we could be here for 2 hours. For starters, you know how every one of the witnesses were obsessed with the fact that she was the only smoker?
Uh-huh.
They found 2 different packs of smokes and 2
Hmm.
lighters at the scene. Never
Oh,
tested any of it. We weren't testing that. We were
no.
just like,
Because she was
maybe
the only smoker. Maybe she likes to, dabble in different
oh,
brands.
maybe she just
Fuck off.
nobody does that. Get
Nobody.
out of here.
Nobody
I
does.
can't even, like I could be on my last nerve and need a smoke, and I'm not smoking your junky brand.
You're
Like,
junky ass shit.
if it ain't mine, I ain't doing it. So, no. But that's not even the worst of this insanity. For whatever reason that I cannot figure out for the actual life of me, the interviews were held weeks later at John's house.
They didn't bring them to the police station? Did they have a glass of
Yeah.
wine and a
I'm literally like, I can't. When I read that, I was like, "Sort were invites sent out? Little balloons?
social gathering? You're
Come to
invited.
John's?
You're
You're
cordially
invited.
invited to a barbecue.
Come to John's house, and we're just gonna interview you guys, like, officially?
Okay,
What?"
I feel like this is like this community like, hello?
Ash, you're not even
What's
ready. It
going on
just
in
gets worse.
there?
It just gets worse. So, Officer Christensen is in the middle of interviewing Auntie Madeline, and, like, it's all recorded, right?
Well, thank
And
God
John
for that. I'm surprised.
at least we got that going for us. And John walks into the interview, guys. And not only, like, walks in and is like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, like, I'll back out." She walks in, interrupts the interview, and says, "I'm gonna have to start charging you guys rent soon." Laughs, and then says, "Oh, I got you guys," meaning the police, "gift cards. Figured you might like some Dunkin' Donuts."
Is this a fucking joke? Like,
I can't. I was like, "What?" I had to reread that 15 times. Wha what?
what is happening?
Now,
Gift
like,
cards?
the police officer is kinda like, "Yep, we like donuts," like, his interview and Madeline's interview was basically over after that because there was a major distraction. Like, she lost her train of
It
thought.
almost seems purposeful, but we can't say for sure. Like, we don't know, but
No, we don't you know
it
what? Whether it's
sucks.
purposeful or not, uh, all of this is so unusual.
It's so
So unusual.
unusual. And, like, so if I ever get called down
Mhm.
anywhere, do I like, if I get called to for a witness statement, do I stop at Starbucks and get a couple gift cards for the detectives?
Well, you don't because
That's
so
illegal.
later, when they're actually doing John's interview, which if you have any interest in this case, I highly suggest you going and, like, listening to all of these interviews because it would just take us forever to go through them all. During John's interview, the police officer actually starts the interview and he says, "So we need to talk about a couple things." And John's like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "You can't get us gift cards. We can't accept those. Like, you can't
No.
bribe police officers who are doing a murder investigation at your house, ma'am." And he's like, "And we really need you to not interrupt." But so I heard that and I'm like, "All right." So here's the other thing. And again, I am just this is my personal opinion. This is my personal retelling of this story. Uh, when I was listening to John's interview, okay? So when he says, "We can't accept gift cards from you." And she goes, "I get what you mean." Which, and again, guys, this is all hypothetical. This is just me sitting in Canada listening to this from 7 years ago being like, "Huh." Um, to me,
Uh-huh.
that's like,
I'm
"I
pick
get what you
I'm
mean."
picking up what you're putting
Like,
down.
winky winky, okay.
That's fucking
So,
weird.
I don't know. I don't know if they took the gift cards or not. It's very illegal and you cannot do that, but here we are. So, each interview seems weirder than the last. But Ashley, I saved my absolute favorite for you.
Oh,
Bridget Fuller.
okay.
Now, Bridget was the woman whose husband picked her up at
Yeah, she
1:47
left.
AM. Yeah. She was, according to everyone, one of the last people to see Tamla alive.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try to take this really seriously, but honestly, we cannot.
Why? What?
So Officer Christensen starts the interview and he says, "So tell me about that night." And I'm actually gonna read you the answers like word for word. Like I transcribed them from the interview because so remember, the question is, so what happened that night? What was going on that night? Bridget says, "I'm kind of your mother hen when I'm at parties. And my very first priority is children. Granted, there were no children this time, but the weekend before there was. I've been a nanny for 9 years and not just with my own children." Officer Christensen says, "Right." Bridget says, "Other people's children completely trust me. So I'm very adamant about watching what is going on, And it's like, stop flipping your head around. You're going to knock your head into the damn wall. And I'm not doing any ER things for you. So stop being so stupid."
What?
Officer Officer Christensen says, "Right." Bridget says, "And, I think that was one of the things Tam liked so much about me is even though I had a couple drinks, I still kept my faculties about me. Like if a child went missing, I would be like, 'Hmm, I saw that child recently. Where is he at? It's just inbred.'"
Uh, are we talking about the same thing? Ma'am, are you there? Read the room. What's
I
going on?
also I also need to just end this with the actual recording of part of hers
But
because I need you guys to be a part of this.
before you do that, are they talking to each other? Because she's over here and he's over here, and he's like, "Can you fucking answer the," like, she didn't answer the questions.
He said, "What was going on that night?" And she went into, "Well, my first priority is kids." There were no kids there.
The fuck are you talking about?
What kids? There were no
Who?
children. Hello? All right. So, listen to this.
I have a
Um,
suspicion on whose Xanax
that
that
was
was.
the second time that I had met Tam. The first time was the weekend before for pumpkin carving. Her kids thought it was awesome because I got to use power tools. I had a saw, go on the top of that saw and get that lid off, and stick this thing on the drill, and it goes, and all the guts. So it makes it super easy for them to cut them out or scoop it out.
What the
Guys,
fuck are you talking about now?
a woman is dead.
And you're excited about your pumpkin carving skills? You fucking what?
A woman is dead. You are being interviewed by the police because you were at a party and a woman died.
Oh, okay.
I know. Listen, I was like, "S- what? I don't even, I can't even. The question was what went on that night. We now know what they did the weekend before. We now know there were children there the weekend before. We now know that she used power tools to carve the pumpkin.
Fantastic.
Uh, what?
What the fuck is happening?
I know. I know. So
Does
that was
she
by
ever answer the question?
I mean, in a roundabout way, like, she talks
Okay.
about they were drinking blueberry vodka
Oh,
and this and she goes into very specific details. Like, she's like, "So I picked up the blueberry vodka, and they were mixing it with simple syrup and Sprite," and, like,
what?
basically, none of what she's saying actually fucking matters because, again, we're here to talk about the woman that died at the party you were at.
So, in my opinion, that's being very evasive.
It's weird.
It's
Listen, more
very
than
evasive.
anything, it's weird. Why are you being so weird? And maybe you're just a weird person, and that's okay. I'm weird,
I'm definitely weird.
but also, what are you doing?
But okay, to me though, in my
Mhm.
opinion, if I ask someone a direct question and they fucking tiptoe around the direct
I know.
question, that's skirting.
And the thing
Mm,
is too, and again, I was thinking, not that you're as bad as fucking Bridget,
like, come on,
but
give me
I
a
was
little
thinking
credit.
I was thinking about you because I
Yeah.
was like, what if she's just nervous and she's like Ash? But here's the thing. You get, like you get chatty at the grocery store. I truly believe if someone dies at a party we're at and the police are asking you a question, you're not fucking around like that. You're going to be like,
It's
this is what
fucking
happened.
weird. It's weird.
This is where I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I do want to try to wrap this up a little bit because, like I said, honestly, if we went through every single thing, we'd be here for hours. So, Jose Barrera, the guy who called 911, Mr. This is the story. This is the story. This is what's up. He was fired from his job with the county soon after. Ask me
Why?
why,
Why?
Ashley.
Why? Why?
He was using his court access credentials to look up files related to Tamla's case.
Hmm. We see this a lot. A lot of times when someone has um, a reason to want to
Mhm.
know what's going on or they want to insert themselves into an investigation, there's a
So,
reason.
yes. So
Jose,
the man who found her body was illegally snooping into all of the details of her case, which is super weird to me.
that's
And
fucking
that's all I'm
weird.
saying. That's just my opinion. I think it's weird that, listen, I have morbid curiosity,
Absolutely.
big time. I'm not illegally using my credentials to look like it's not, it's weird.
Mm-mm.
That's where what I'm gonna say.
Is there
Now,
anything that's not fucking weird about this?
I know it's
One
all
thing,
weird. The whole thing.
the whole thing's weird.
So her family who like my heart goes out to you guys because I cannot imagine
Uh-uh.
this.
This is fucking
But
horrible.
yeah, they pushed
Horrible.
for answers. They pushed for answers hard. They hired an independent pathologist.
Okay.
And guess what?
What?
That autopsy contradicted the official one. They said that the injuries were not consistent with a fall from that height.
I I would have known this also because
Mhm.
it was very obvious. And um okay, so the second they did another autopsy.
Yeah.
What was there anything different the second time around? Did they specify?
They just said her injuries were not consistent with a fall from that height. So the going theory was she fell from the balcony to her death.
Nope,
The
she didn't.
second autopsy is saying, "No, those injuries are not consistent with that." Guys, despite that second autopsy, the case was closed.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, there was public pressure from Black Lives Matter movement into 2020, and it forced the Georgia Bureau of Investigations to reopen it. They reviewed evidence for months, but in the end, they closed it again, calling it an accidental fall, no charges, no arrests, no new leads. Um,
This family would literally be haunted. Imagine her husband raising these kids by himself every night, going to bed knowing that there was no justice for his wife.
correct, correct.
Because
And listen,
if say, okay, let's hypothetically play a game here.
yeah,
It was a fall.
yeah,
There were, I have to
it
be
just
very
doesn't add up.
cautious on how I say this.
I know. It just
The
doesn't
math
add
isn't
up.
mathing.
No, it doesn't.
Um,
And there's a few things like I will tell you my theory, my thoughts. Uh I think just based on the rigor, based on everyone's behavior, I believe Tamla died earlier in the night.
I think so too. And I
And
think they
I'm
panicked.
maybe I don't know. I don't know what happened in that house. And I've never been in that situation. I don't know what that would be like, but I do know that I wouldn't be trying to cover it up if that's what happened here. I don't know.
And also, if these are supposed to be her co-parents on this team,
Yeah.
um, did to me, no one seemed to be like, "Oh my god, she's gone. We're devastated. I'm sad. Hello." That those kids now have no mom. That husband has no wife. Hello?
And again, I'm just telling you what I've heard in the tapes,
Yeah.
okay? The same tape where John is trying to give police officers Dunkin' Donuts. She says, you hear her say this. She says, "Okay, well, I better go get ready for this funeral."
This funeral.
Yeah,
It's not this funeral. This is
I
your
know.
friend. This
Yeah,
happened at your home.
at your home. I know. I know. I know.
I can't.
So this case is still closed. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe something happened. Um, it could be anything. Like we could sit here again,
Yeah.
like I said, for hours. It could be anything. Anything could have happened. Maybe it was an accident, but I don't believe she fell from the balcony. I don't. That didn't
No.
happen.
No.
Um, so all the people from the party lawyered up. Their stories were super vague. The
Mhm.
timeline was extremely shaky.
Yep.
And the evidence, any evidence there was missing or incomplete.
I am so fucking annoyed.
Yeah. And really, we're left with the question, how does a woman die at a party with friends and no one sees a thing?
Well,
Crazy.
I appreciate the story, and I think that it's
Yes.
important that we talk about her and
Yes.
remember
Yes.
her.
And I'm going to try to, there was a lot of links all over the place. Her family is obviously still pushing for answers. So I'm
Yes.
gonna try and include any links that I can if you wanna follow Tamla's case. Well, I mean, there isn't a case, but if you wanna follow her story
Mhm.
see what her family's up to, I'll put them in the show notes. But just heartbreaking. I'm so sorry for Tamla's family's loss, because you know what? No matter what, like, we're listening to this story and we're going, "This is unbelievable." 5 boys lost their mama.
Yep.
And
And, like,
that's just
just to
heartbreaking.
be clear, I've bitten my tongue a lot during this
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
for reasons
yeah. Well, we have to be careful, like,
we can't be
listen,
getting sued over here.
no, and Ash and I, we have our opinions, and that's what the point of a podcast is like literally if you're listening, you're just listening into the running, script going on in our
The
heads.
little hamster.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
So, all right,
But
well,
also let us know what you think. What do you think happened?
yeah, like because again, my theory is something happened to Tamla earlier in the night. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe it was something she did. I don't
Yeah.
know. I really don't know what happened. I don't believe she fell from the balcony. And I do believe maybe mistakes were made
Yeah.
following her death.
Now,
So,
if you guys enjoyed this video, please like us,
yes.
share us, comment. If you want to see more of stories like this, or if you have ideas for stories you want us to cover, we would be happy to do that. We obviously, if you're listening on our podcast platform, you obviously know about our podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can follow us on Spotify. You can go on
Yeah.
Patreon. We have Apple. Basically,
Yeah.
anywhere where you get your podcast, we're there. We're there.
Yeah. And if you're following on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss our future
Yeah, we
videos.
have
All
actually
right.
some cute ones coming up.
I know we do. We do for sure. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening and for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.